Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How are you doing on this
Very good.
Thrilling Thursday?
I'm liking your different words for each day, Monica. They're very, I like them a lot.
Thrilling
very
Thursday. It's very good alliteration.
It is.
Yes.
Thrilling Thursday. It is.
What do you call Tuesday? You said something about Tuesday as well.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy
we love
Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Yeah.
And
Happy
I guess
Tuesday.
yesterday was our Wacky Wednesday.
Or Wacky Wednesday. We have Fun Day
That's
Friday.
Sunday,
BBC
Friday.
Kids. BBC Kids are Wacky Wednesday, and I know FaZe calls it Wacky Wednesday as well. So there you go.
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
I always remember growing up as a kid. You know, whenever teachers would talk about Wednesday and try and get them to help spell it, it'd always be think Weirdness Day to try and get
Weirdness.
I
say we change it to that Weirdness Wednesday.
Weird Wednesday.
Weird Wednesday. Yeah.
But then that's making assumptions about our guests that we have, and we definitely don't have weird guests on Wednesdays. We have fantastic guests on Wednesdays.
We do.
Man, this week has been amazing. I have loved it.
It has been.
It's been a very good week. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. I know it's been a shorter week, but I feel we've made up to it with the caliber of guests we've had on this week. And we have another sensational guest for you this morning, and I can't wait to bring her on. It's going to be fantastic. Georgia Allison, as predicted, is in first. So a little bit later than usual.
Yeah.
So
come on.
Good morning. First time I'm not watching this from my bed. Good to see you guys. Where are you watching from, Georgia? That would be the follow-up question to that.
That'll be the follow-up.
Sarah Perry saying hi, team.
Hi, Sarah. Yeah.
Lovely to have you all with us today. Welcome to Mornings Together with Rob, Mon, and Bernie. It's a little show where we try and talk through how do we be together in isolation? How do we, how are we really doing as we journey through this whole COVID-19 thing? How do we be together when we can't be together? All these things. And so we love bringing this to you guys. I can't believe we've done 23 episodes of this already.
That is crazy.
It's been amazing. So we're going to keep this going as long as we're allowed to, until we get shut down by the man. We'll
Who is that man?
We'll bring that hard-hitting storytelling to you daily.
That's right. Dude, we're going to hashtag keep it going until we get hashtag shut it down.
That's
journalism.
We got to keep Pedro, the manager, happy.
That's right.
He calls the shot, so we got to keep him happy. Tony says, "Morning team, thanks so much for your show." From Tony and Sharon.
Georgia, hello to the Wiggles.
Georgia has said that she's eating breakfast in the kitchen, so that's where she is today. She's not in bed; she's in breakfast. And Michaela Gary is saying, "I need to beat Georgia one of these days." Well, Georgia, no joke. Before each show, Rob, Mon, and myself, we discuss who's going to be the first one to comment, and it's either Georgia, Michaela, Graham, or who was the fourth one we did?
Oh, I don't know, but it's just so delightful to see. It's like, oh, hello, people.
So
you're taking the magic out of the show. Like people don't know we discuss things backstage.
I'm giving them a peek behind the curtain. I've been told that you got to give away some of the secrets, but also keep more secrets.
That's right.
To keep people really engaged because they feel like they're part of the show, but don't fully understand the extent of the show. Like they don't know about the 40-man team out in the back of my house for making sure this thing runs all right. So
pedaling their bikes for the electricity.
Pretty much.
It was a bit like before the show we were chatting about having to do all this video recording for church, and I said it's going to be great when we get back together to have a bloopers reel about 1 or 2 minutes of us trying to record ourselves doing something, kids screaming in the background, or it's like shut up, just
dogs barking.
Charles, can you just cut that bit out, please, and we'll start from here.
This is the life. This is what we're used to now. Just a few more people saying hello. Julian Briscoe is saying good morning. First time I'm watching from the start, just because I'm now a school teacher. So welcome, Julian. Great to have you with us today. Darren Porter is clarifying that he is the fourth person we should be thinking of as one of the ones who are eager to get on. Jacinda Stevens, good morning. First time watching. Been for my walk at 7:30. Had breakfast. Beautiful morning in Whakamaramara. So
it's a beautiful morning. This weather is incredible.
It's an endless summer. I mean, my mum's moved to Papamoa. She lives near you, Bernie, and and she's moved from Oakuni, so anywhere's going to feel like endless summer compared to Oakuni. But she's, she was saying, man, is it ever rain here? It's just days and days of sun. So we've been.
I remember
blessed.
the first time when we moved here, the first winter we had was exactly like this. It just was like this the entire time. And so we were going up the mountain. It was like the middle of winter, and it was still like sunny and slightly warm. In saying that, though, my friends in Minnesota, it's been an endless winter. Like they've just had Easter, which is normally at the beginning of spring, and they had like one of the biggest snowstorms they've had in like the recent time. Like, just like powered down. Dory Jones and Philip Jones, they say good morning.
Jones.
My mum is with us this morning. Look, there's a picture of my daughter as a profile picture. There's a bit of a bonus.
Yeah, Naomi. Oh,
Michaela Gary, you can be happy with that. MJ is finally on the show.
Hashtag we want MJ, yes.
Naomi, we want to see Bernie on that runway.
That's a nice segue there, Mon. So
I know. Come on.
Yesterday, I told 2 truths and 1 lie. Just to recap what they were. The first is number 1 was that I had a car crash in the Auckland Harbour Bridge. It was a 5-car pileup, and in that crash, my foot went through the firewall of the car, and I dislocated and broke my ankle, and that's why my ankle is now full of metal and scars and stuff. The second one was that when I was a kid, I was involved in a fashion show at our local church. There was runway work and also a swimsuit section. And the third was that when I was a teenager, I did some flying lessons on North Shore Air Base, and part of that was a terrifying experience where the instructor told me not to turn the handle while doing stalls, and he then proceeded to do so, which scared me, and I probably is why I didn't take them anymore. So, ready for the big reveal?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so let's break this down. So, number 3. I did train to be. I did some flying lessons when I was a teenager. I did about 40 hours. The logbook and stuff still at my parents' place, full of all the records and stuff on which I did that, which is good. And that thing did happen, and I think it legitimately scared me off from doing it. Plus, also, you have to remember all these like symbols and codes that mean stuff before you even get to take off. And I'm like, a 15-year-old kid. I was like, there's no way I can be bothered learning any of that stuff. So I would, every time I'd turn up and the co-pilot would be like, so what does this mean? I'm like, I don't remember. I just want to fly the plane. Which, doesn't really go well when, all that procedure is important. So number 2, the fashion show. Yes, that did legitimately happen. And it was at Long Bay Baptist Church. My mum can probably chime in the comment section to say the reason why that all happened, but all 3 of us kids were involved from my family. There is some video footage on VHS somewhere. There's a cute little shot of me walking down the runway in like a summer bathing suit thing with a spade and
put that in the comments, Mum. Put that in the comments, Mum. Get us a
Bernie,
picture.
do you remember your pose at the end of the?
I don't think I was that advanced at that stage. I just remember I had to get to the end and get back. So Mum was saying it was for a fundraiser for the church.
Cute. Very
so
cute.
We just need proof, Naomi. Put it in the comments. Show us a
right.
picture.
Come on.
So the lie is number 1. But there's an interesting story with it. So I was in a car crash on the Auckland Harbour Bridge. It was a 5-car pileup. That legitimately happened to me when I was 19 or 20. I can't remember what age. But I did not get my injury that way. So the lie is the injury is that part of the story. And some of you are going to be a bit mad about that, but you just know that I won the game. So that
half lie and 2 truths.
That's Bernie's tip of the week. When you play 2 truths, 1 lie, make your lie a half truth, because then people kind of believe it, but then you twist some important details. So I actually broke my ankle playing indoor football, where I tried an illegal tackle on Windsor Park senior pastor's son, and he fell on my ankle in a way. It rolled away, it popped out, it broke all the bones. It was horrific. And so that's actually how I broke my ankle, not in a car crash. But so there you go. 2 truths, 1 lie.
And fully recovered, because you run marathons, you do everything. I
do that. Yes. I'm yet to play football again since. And that happened in 2013. So I'm doing 2012. But I'm yet to return to the football field. So that's still one of the things I haven't yet been able to do since breaking my ankle.
Wow.
Unfortunately, to answer your question, Graham Randall, no, there are no prizes. The prize is just having that information so that when you see me next, you can hassle me about those 3 things.
That's right. Show us your scar.
Everyone's going to be looking at your ankles, mate.
I know, right? Do a little bit of I'll practice my posing so that I can show them off really well.
There you go.
So there you go. I want to know in the comment section how many of you got that right. Now you know the answer. So just claim it if you didn't actually think it. I think Dan Marshall actually got it right yesterday, as well as one other person in the comment section. But so there you go.
So very, very good.
Very good.
From the land of just speech and truth, I'm going to pass things over to Flavor Rob for
Flavor
Rob.
come on. Flavor tip of the morning.
Getting ready to lay it on.
Here we go. All right. I just need to boast a little bit. Last night I had takeaways. We went to the House of Spice and I got my Merg Malai curry tikka chicken. Oh, Lordy. Bit of garlic naan. Oh, it was good times. Anyway, that's not what I'm going to talk about today. I'm actually going to talk about what is the best gravy. Okay, so we're doing a lot of baking. We've done a lot of this sort of stuff. But actually, when we roast meat, oh, hallelujah. When we roast a nice lamb or a piece of beef or a chicken or some pork, we actually need to roast it in such a way that we can create a good gravy to go with it because it carries so much flavor. All right. So number one about roasting, we talked about this a little while ago. Don't cut the skin off. Don't cut the fat off. Do that at the end. It adds moisture and flavor. And so I've talked about our magic trinity, a mirepoix of onion, celery, and carrots. And we're going to use that as what we call a trivet. Okay, so a trivet is something you sit the meat upon so it doesn't burn on the bottom. Okay, and you put those in the bottom of your pan, you put your meat on top, you roast it. Yeah. And when you take it out, all of the juices, all of the fat, all of that kind of stuff, you got all these crunchy, lovely bits in that pan. You take the meat out and you rest it. Meat continues to cook. People think, oh, it's just going to go cold. Cover it. It'll sit there. It'll stay warm. You put either, okay, so you can do a couple of things. If you're a bit of a booze hag, then you can put your red wine in there. Okay, it's called deglazing the pan. All right. So what I want you to do is put your red wine in there. It's a red red wine. It's a live show. It's a live show. You know, no one's confessing over here in the side about that. Anyway, so we're you pour your red wine or your white wine in there. Okay, you put it on the heat again, put it back in the oven, and you want to scrape all of those burnt bits, all of those crunchy bits around. You want to scrape it all into that. Okay, and then you want to put in some stock. Okay, so you can buy boxes of stock from the supermarket, or as I've already taught you how to make stock, you can put some of that in. You want to reduce it down a little bit, get nice and hot again, and then you want to thicken it with a little bit of corn flour and water. So just like a teaspoon with a little bit of cold water. Okay, pour it in, keep mixing it around. Okay, with your whisk, and then you want to strain it, or you want to mash all those veggies, all those bits and pieces, and strain it into your thing. They have the best gravy. Now with pork, you can have apples in there. You know, you got sitting them on top of apples as well as some of those vegetables. You've got venison, chicken, lamb, all of these different things. All that flavor goes down, and then you want to capture as much of that as possible, and make sure you strain it before you send it in, or you can put all those chunks in there because that's just as good. So there you go. Best gravy ever.
Best gravy ever.
Dude.
You got Darren salivating over there already. Yeah. Graham actually asked, who's the booze hag?
Who's the booze hag?
This is a family program.
There we go.
Eric saying he's starting a new hashtag Rob's Gravy Train. Oh, yeah, a lovely picture of Eric and his wife Ken in the profile.
That's a birthday picture. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. Representing the youth.
Come on. Yeah. Come on. Thank you for that, Rob. We've said a couple of times, we've given you a lot of recipes, lots of flavor tips. If you want any specifics of things you want to engage Rob in a good bit of flavor chat, you can fire us an email at stories@Bethlehem, and we can connect you guys so that you can. Rob can give you more of his secrets in terms of how to make flavors happen in your kitchen.
Yeah, Rob.
All things you want to hear about. Okay, so I'm just chucking things out at you, but if you've got something you really want to hear about, let me know. I'll tell you.
No, I love that. It's always a treat every day.
Always a treat. Now, stories at Bethlehem. So we put this out a lot there. So we want to hear from you. So fire through your stories. Ask for flavor tips from Rob. We received a lovely email this morning that I want to read to you this morning. It's from a lady called Belinda Ingley. Now, let me just read the email, and everything will make sense after that. So, hi there, Mornings Together team. I just wanted to say thank you so much for all your 9 a.m. morning chat show. I'm unable to listen at 9 o'clock because I am an essential worker at the district health board. However, I listen later in the day once my gorgeous and crazy 6-year-old is in bed. Listening to Mornings at 9 has been encouraging and uplifting after a stressful and tiring day at work and trying to adjust to new routines. The guests have been inspiring and the chats have been honest, which I can identify with. It's really nice to have a positive focus on the situation, but also identify that people are experiencing difficulties at this time, and this is normal. What I'm grateful for is, one, firstly, the show and good laughs. Yes. Number two,
wow.
I've learned what a TikTok is. 3, my first Rosie's Takeaway regular triple shot almond milk cappuccino. And in brackets, she goes, yes, I have a caffeine problem. 4, an almond croissant delivered to work today by Mobile Bakery. Man, it was good. Number 5, my friends and family. And in brackets, she puts, they have not been voted out to the garage, ... yet. Which come on. And then number 6, I have an essential job and can get work, get paid, and help people. She says, please know that what you're doing is making a difference at this time. Blessing to you all and your families, from Belinda Ingley.
Belinda, don't know who you are, but man, that is absolutely beautiful. Thank you.
That's so cool. Very cool.
So, feel free to fire through your stories, your comments, your feedback, your random TikToks and things like that. It's been a while since we've had a TikTok. So why don't you fire those through, just the stories at bethlehem.org.nz. You can tag us on all social media at Beth Bap Church, or you can leave a nice comment underneath this video. If any point you need help, you can get in touch with the care team from BBC, care@bethlehem.org.nz, or give the church a call. If you have a prayer request, you can text that through using the keyword BBC prayer and fire that through to 4040. Sorry, I'm about to sneeze. False alarm. And aren't they the worst, the false alarm ones?
You don't get it.
And then this weekend, we'd love to invite you to come and join us online for the BBC Sunday services at 9 o'clock and 11 a.m. We have some fantastic children programming starting half an hour before each of those times, preschool all the way through to intermediates. The teams are doing amazing work there. But you can join us on all the platforms you're currently watching our show right now. So we'd love to see you on Sunday. Finally, this morning, before we carry on with the rest of the thing, if you've enjoyed the episode but you're unable to watch it at 9 o'clock, don't worry. We release everything to Spotify and Apple Podcasts after the show is done. Just like Belinda mentioned in her email, she watches the show later in the day, and people have been listening. So hello to those who are listening later in the day, especially those who are listening from Europe and America. We saw a couple of interesting stats that people are listening from over there across the pond. Lovely to have you with us, even though you're in a whole different part of the world to us, but welcome.
Welcome.
And before we get into our guest today, he's commented today, and so I texted him this morning, Caleb Friat.
Hey, come on, Caleb.
He's going to be on the show with us tomorrow morning, mainly because we received an email through from Pedro, the manager, saying that the project have been harassed by him for so long that they figured that he should come on the B show, the Nation's B show, which is our show. So Caleb Friat will be on with us tomorrow morning,
Come on, Caleb.
sharing his hot tips for getting through lockdown, how to stack a dishwasher properly, but also how to continue on the rise to glory as a social media influencer. So
I know. He's been
I can't believe we can actually afford to get him on our show.
I know.
So big. It's like incredible. Yeah, we're really honored.
Pedro, the manager, man, he's working his deals for us. We're getting some quality guests.
Sponsorship is rolling in, you know.
So
thank you, Pedro.
He'll be on tomorrow with us. So make sure you tune back in at 9 o'clock tomorrow for Caleb Friat appearing on the show once again. But this morning I want to talk about our guest we have today. So she is a senior constable in the Tauranga police force. Before lockdown began, she was out on the roads as part of the policing road policing unit kind of thing. So hopefully none of you have been pulled over by her before, but if you have, more to you. She on a Sunday morning at BBC when we're normal, she's kicking it on the drums, smashing those cans.
She is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Trudi Cantwell to the show this morning. Hello, Trudi.
Nice to be
here. There we go. Nice to have you with
Trudi, it is so good to have you with us. Lovely that you're. I know this is slightly uncomfortable for you. You said before the show started, you're happy to carry a firearm and a taser and to pull people over and stuff, but public speaking is probably not your foray. So thank you for braving the big, wide, scary internet with us today and for joining us today.
Yes, no, you're most welcome. I've never done FaceTime or anything like this before. So yeah, like has been said, I can deal with a fatal crash. I pick up dead bodies. I'll strap on a taser, do my firearms checks every day. But please never ever ask me to speak in public. So my fear level is way up here at the moment, but I am anyway. And I think the thing is, I've said to my children, look, feel the fear and do it anyway. So this is me feeling fear and braving up. So
Well,
you can pretend there's just the 4 of us and not thousands watching.
That's right. We're just a BBC family. We're global.
You've been welcomed already by the people in the comments. So Darren Porter says, "Yeah, Trudi."
Trudi.
George Allison saying, "Yes, Trudi. Good to see you." Sarah saying, "Welcome, Trudi." Darren also comments saying, "You're the drummer of the century." So there you go. So you're part of the family. You're part of the Mornings Together family.
You're loved. Yeah.
Thanks very much. No, it's very humbling to be invited here. So thank you.
So Trudi, you are a member of our local police force here in Tauranga. Before COVID-19 got really underway, you were out on the streets as part of the road units and stuff like that. But things have changed for you over the last 5 weeks, and you've been more in the office. And I'll get you to share about kind of why that is in a little bit if you're okay. But I want you to share with us what has it been like over the last few weeks for you? How are you and your bubble doing? And then I guess from your viewpoint, taking on the crisis, how's it been?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know me, there'll be plenty of you out there. I've been married for the last 22 years, and the funny thing is, when I recount this story, when I was growing up, I was never getting married, not having children. I was going to live by myself on the waterfront with my German Shepherd. And so now, been married for 21 years. I have 2 children. I live nowhere near the water, and I have a Labradoodle. So that's changed. And never ever did I think that I would be a police officer ever. But anyway, 24 years later, here I am still in the job. So, it's a real privilege to be in the job in Tauranga. I do really enjoy it. So, so things have changed for me a lot in the last 5 weeks. Bernie, as you've said, my core role is road policing. So we do attend fatal crashes, serious crashes, anything to do with roads, whether it be blockages, checkpoints, and obviously we also, when called upon, will go to frontline jobs such as your family harm, incidents, assaults, and that type of thing as well. But for me, the biggest thing has been for our families, we do have a child who's immune suppressed. So the fact for me to remain out on the street and not know what any of this picture was going to look like, 5 weeks ago, when the country was just entering into the situation, as a family, we assessed the risk, and for me, the right thing was to remove myself from my exposure to the public, to minimise the fact that if I got it, I could, pass it on to one of the boys at home. So I have been working inside the station for the last 5 weeks in an investigative support role, which has been really busy as well. And one of the biggest challenges was, even though I'm in that role, I'm still exposed to other staff that are out on the street that are still dealing with offenders and the public. And there's been, a few close calls where some of the people coming through into our custody potentially may have had COVID-19. So I'm very mindful that I'm still around staff who are interacting with, members like that out in the community. So one of the things I've had to do as well is just to really minimise that risk for the family is I have self-isolated at home too. So I've been living in a bedroom for 5 weeks. Has had some advantages and disadvantages. The advantages is I do get to watch TV uninterrupted without any which I love. I haven't cooked any meals for 5 weeks, but my husband has done an amazing job actually working from home. He's also an essential worker, and managing the boys. And cooking meals and covering just the basic housework. So really applaud him that he's done. So he's done really well. But I've really missed that social contact in terms of, physical contact, I guess, not being able to hug your family has been a biggie. But I have been really fortunate at work that, as a lot of people know, the camaraderie in the police and often emergency services, you're going into situations where, you're dealing with trauma and drama, and those emotional bonds do form. So, I've got really good friends at the station, and I still, have contact with them obviously through my work day. So, so that's been good. So, so my bubble has consisted of living in a bedroom, being in a different role at work, and having a sick father in hospital as well that we have been able to visit. So that too has been difficult because he doesn't like hospitals, probably like most people They're in hospital, and so he hasn't been happy there. So it's been difficult not being able to, physically go and see him and support him in that way, and just sort of rely on texting and feedback from the staff, via my mum as well. But he is out now and he's doing much better, so that's really
That's
good.
good.
So, life has been different the last 5 weeks for me.
I think that's an understatement there, Trudi. I mean, things have been a bit different. It's like I'm just listening to this and taking it all in. I'm just like, wow, that's a lot. So you're on the front lines. You're having to self-isolate from your family. Like, these are a lot of big things.
Yeah. Wow.
So please know that we're so thankful for you and your role and what you are doing for us locally as a community. The sacrifices you're making are enabling, people to recover and stuff like that as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So I put a question to you, and you were saying that you were going to ask a few, maybe the more of some of the other officers as to what they've been seeing and stuff like that out in the field, because you've been back in the office. So what has it been like working as a police officer during this COVID-19 pandemic from your perspective? But also, you said you gathered some perspectives from a few of the other officers around that you interact with.
That's right. Yeah. So like has been discussed, I've been working inside the station, and primarily as the police, the Ministry of Health is the lead agency in this, and we are here to support the government. And as staff, we have been looking at what we call the 4 E's, which is basically to engage with our community. Where required, so people have been breaching some of the conditions under Alert 4 and now Alert Level 3. Just educating them on what's required, encouraging them to really comply, because obviously this is a massive team effort for all of us to contain this and hopefully get back to some degree of normality, whatever that is going to look like. And as a really last resort, then enforce whatever action is required. I have spoken to some of the staff and, hearing things around the station. The job has changed quite a bit for some sections in some areas, and then it has been business as usual for others. But when we went into lockdown initially, one of the biggest things that we noticed, obviously, we don't have all the disorder from the bars, the fights that break out on the Friday and Saturday night. So that has been a welcome relief, I'm sure, for our PST, which is our police, our safety units. But we did expect our family harm incidents to increase, understandably, with everybody living in these confined situations together. And it may work really well for a week or two, if that. But the intentions do tend to rise, and patience wears thin. So we have seen a continuing number of those. And unfortunately, we do get a lot of mental health call-outs. And while that's not our prime role, we very much support people who aren't in a very good space mentally, so we've still had to attend those sort of jobs. But other than that, it has been business as usual for the staff in terms of dealing with assaults and what have you. But the way we do our job is just remarkably different, in the lockdown. So as you can appreciate, the police have been wonderful at the Tauranga station. Hygiene's been a real biggie for us, not only for the staff but also for anyone that may come into our care, in our custody. Lots of cleaning going on, making sure that they are safe while they are with us. We're wearing, our PPEs, our personal protection equipment, being our masks, gloves, goggles. So we probably do look a little bit like little minions on occasion around the place. Look, it's essential, and we want to keep safe and return to our family. So that is one of the things that we're obviously doing. But where it has been interesting for some of the staff is obviously, on a daily basis, we make, hundreds, if not thousands, of arrests across the country. And one of those is about safety for our staff and also for the people, again, that have been arrested. And one of those things is obviously having that close contact and putting someone in handcuffs. So, of course, with the spatial awareness that we now obviously all have to comply with, how do we arrest someone and handcuff them and get them back to the station? So the way we actually do our job has changed considerably in the last 5 weeks, and that has been a bit of a challenge. But the staff it's been a bit of a learning curve initially for us as well, to comply with, expectations from our employer. And, the biggest thing again is just, keeping everyone safe. So, that's something the staff have had to deal with and think on their feet at the time, because no situation is the same. Everybody
definitely
reacts differently, and people are unpredictable. And while we deal with a lot of wonderful members in our community, we are dealing with people that do have addictions, whether it be alcohol, drugs, and other things that present unpredictable behaviours and situations that we have a second to think about and react accordingly. So
well, it sounds like there's so much, and there's so much in that. So like, so much adapting that you guys have to do, so much challenge you guys are wrestling through as well. And I can only imagine. We've talked about this a couple of times in the show before about how lockdown in particular, level 4, was a pressure cooker for a lot of people. A lot of their normality things that helped them level out, have all been stripped away for a period of 4 weeks. I can only imagine the repercussions of that, which is some of the stuff you were alluding to as well. And so you've highlighted some of the challenges and things for the police force during this time. What I was wondering what you could do, if you could share a couple of heartwarming stories that you have heard during this time, but then also segue that into how we can actually be supporting our local officers, our frontline guys during this time, who, like you say, are thinking a lot of the time on their feet. They're having to adapt. They're trying to serve the rules as best as possible while also keeping everybody safe. So that's a kind of like a double barrel question there. So some stories, but also how we could be supporting our officers during this time.
Yep, sure. So look, again, having worked inside for the last 5 weeks, I personally haven't had too many opportunities to engage with the community. But look, one of the things that has come to my attention is, we do have an issue with homelessness in Tauranga, as do other, bigger cities and places around New Zealand. And it's one of the things, as the city gets bigger, there are social issues that come, along with that, and homelessness in Tauranga is one of those. But look, one thing that has happened, our Tauranga Community Constable, Timo Gardner, has been doing some really great work with trying to accommodate and house our homeless. So, and that's been done obviously in connection with the government and other agencies. So I guess it's nice to think that, the government and agencies are doing their best to, remember people who are homeless and are trying to accommodate them. So the work that has been done around that is to actually get motel accommodation for them, get them off the street. They're not forgotten. We're doing our best to accommodate them and keep them safe and keep them from obviously interacting with other people that are out there in the same situation and potentially transmitting COVID if they are unfortunate enough to actually to get it. So so that's been really cool that we've actually been able to reach out and help some of the homeless people. And people find themselves in that situation for a number of reasons. Sometimes it's decision making that they've made in the past. It can be addiction. It can be circumstances. There's a whole range of things that actually do contribute to homelessness. It's not just it's not just one reason that it happens. So it's been really good to be able to be in a position where we can actually assist in that way to try and get them off the street and keep them safe too.
Definitely.
And I guess, so, the second part of your question in terms of how the public can support us, I guess the biggest thing would be just really complying with the regulations of these alert levels. One of the challenges, as I mentioned before, is how we deal with people if we have to do lockups. Well, the other thing is actually dealing with people who are breaching the conditions and how we do it, in a way that it doesn't cause any further issues and sends them on the way and keeps us all safe. So yes, it would just be really please just practice your social distancing. I just really encourage us to do that. I know we do have some more freedoms in the job now with terms of movement geographically. Obviously we can get takeaways, we can extend our bubble a little bit, but again, just as we're moving through this year, please just keep your distance and just be mindful that while I think as a country we've done fantastic together with the numbers that we do have, and while it's been tragic that we have had some deaths as a result of this, I think it's really important moving forward now that things have been relaxed a little, that we still actually really keep this in check, so we don't have to resort back to level 4. Hopefully that doesn't happen. So so just really comply with what's been asked of the government, and let's just keep moving forward and try and mitigate the risks of it spreading and those cases rising.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Trudi, that's so good. I guess there's the message coming out quite a lot. So be kind, and it's one of those things like if we regardless of what you think of the guidelines, if we follow them, we're keeping more people safe. Not only are we stamping out COVID-19, we're keeping our frontline workers safe and healthy.
Absolutely.
We're keeping them within capacities that are healthy for them. Like we heard from Nigel yesterday about like the massive days they're doing at the chemists, and we've heard from other essential workers, and of course from yourself today as well. It's just like if we follow these things, if we don't learn how to do jet skiing or like kite surfing kind of thing and injuring ourselves kind of thing, we're just reducing the pressure on everybody else.
That's right.
Which I think is a huge way of supporting the people who are making huge sacrifices, like what you've said in this little time together. It's honoring that and it's respecting that whilst also stomping out COVID-19.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm not trying to get up on a little podium preach here kind of thing. I'm just kind of I think just kind of conveying a feeling that I hope that we have as we approach the rest of this time.
It's being other centric. It's really putting other people like before me and my wants and what I want to do, but like I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to help the police by being compliant and our essential workers, all of that. So thank you. Trudi.
And the thing is, like, this time will pass, and we'll think like, oh, remember that time we were? It wasn't actually that long. Like, well, unless it is, but remember that. It'll be like, remember that time. That's the thing. It's going to be it'll be a passing thing, and so making some sacrifices now for the sake of others, I think, is an important thing. Now I'm keeping an eye on the time because we're approaching the end of our little time together today. So Trudi, I want you to share briefly maybe some of the things that God's been teaching you during this time, and then we'll begin to wrap out the show.
Yep, sure. Actually, well, Bernie, you've touched on it really, and I don't know whether this sort of answers your question in terms of what God has been showing me, but I was driving down the expressway in Tauranga the other day, and we've got the big signs there, and they've got "Be kind, COVID-19," and I'm just constantly reminded that God is love, and the characteristics of Him is joy, peace, patience, self-control, and kindness. And for me, every time I see that sign and I see those messages in the media about being kind, it just really, they're overwhelming messages at the moment, which is fantastic. And it's just a reminder, I guess, for me, that we're actually embracing and encouraged to act according to God's loving kindness. So, it's kind of just a nice, thing for me, I guess, just to know that, hey, this is God. God is love and God is kindness. So, hey, let's replicate that in our communities as well.
Yeah,
so good.
Sure.
Oh, Trudi, it's been so good having you on today.
Absolutely.
So, Trudi, we have a bit of a tradition on the show where we invite our guests to pray as we conclude the episode. And so if you're okay with that, I'm going to ask you to do that in just in a moment. But I just want to, again, bring up tomorrow. So we'll be back here tomorrow at 9 o'clock for Feel Good Friday. We have Caleb Fried, who's going to be on with us tomorrow. It's going to be great. But Trudi, before we get into prayer, I just want to bring up some of the comments that have come up just as we were finishing together. So Georgia Allison saying, "You are incredible, Trudi. Thank you for the sacrifices to keep us all safe. Lots of love and blessing to your family." Sarah says, "Thank you, Trudi. You're a natural speaker. A difficult time for you having to be separated from the family and praying it doesn't last too much longer." So, I hope you're encouraged by what you've shared today has been really impactful for people.
Thank you. Actually, I should have added. I've actually been back with the family for 2 days now, so I did it for 5 weeks, and thought, look, I sort of had to make a decision at some stage. When do I go back? And the time did seem to be right now, but obviously it will be an ongoing assessment required to, see what's happened with our cases and make sure that the family and our son is protected. So glad. Thanks for those comments. I really appreciate that.
No worries, Trudi.
And yes, look, I will pray. I have to just share a very little quick story if there is time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I know, look, on a Sunday morning when, I am drumming. So as you guys will know, we have our production meetings at 8:30 before the service. And part of that is, the band getting together, our sound technicians, Bernie, obviously, and the team, pastoral care hosts, and, other people involved in service. And we have our meeting. At the end of it, Bernie invites 2 to 3 people to come forward. And that is always my cue to look around and think, Bernie, don't pick me. Please, Bernie, don't pick me. I've read some of it. I've been, looking at these podcasts here, and I see it's tradition, and, I cannot break tradition. So, hey, look,
there you go.
Say, it'll be short and sweet, but here we go.
Thank you, Trudi.
Yay, Trudi. Yeah.
But I just want to start just with a prayer of thanks, and just like I touched on before, we have had a lot of people sick and, tragically people pass away. But I just thank you so much that, New Zealand is in a great position. We've had the benefit of being able to see what other countries have been doing and enact, at a time when we have been able to actually really protect our community and society. So I just, I thank you so much for that. I thank you for the wisdom of and government leaders, and I just pray that as we move into alert level 3, and hopefully as we decrease these alert levels, I just really pray for your wisdom to flow to our government leaders, to our community leaders, to our decision makers, and just anyone just really making those decisions out there in terms of how is this going to look, how are we going to react as a community. I just pray for your ongoing protection of all the workers out there now, our essential workers, and obviously other people that have the thousands, millions that have returned to work in some capacity, and just really pray for the healthcare workers. As we transition into this new alert level, we just don't know what that's going to look like. So I just pray so much that you keep them safe, and I just pray for wisdom for our church leaders. We're all navigating a different road at the moment, and we just pray again just for your wisdom. So that would be my ultimate prayer, just to say thank you for the protection that you have cast over New Zealand, and we just pray for that as we move forward, and just for wisdom and guidance as we continue to navigate this. So just really pray, Lord, in your precious name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Trudi, you're a superstar, and
You're
everybody
a
else,
superstar.
we will see you back here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. But thank you so much for being with us today. Have a
Yeah,
great,
Trudi.
safe day.
Yeah.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, see you guys.